So I am at the Andersonville National Cemetery, which is very close to the National POW Museum and the Andersonville prison site. So I'm going to do a quick driving tour here. So you can see the graves are a mixture of Civil War and more modern grave sites. There are also, you'll see them like up here on the left, you see the New York State Monument for all the prisoners here. Over here we have the Iowa State Monument, and over this way is the Illinois State Monument. Now I have pictures of these that I'll post on other social medias as well. But a lot of states put their own monuments down here in honor of the prisoners who either were held captive here or died in captivity here. So again, we have kind of on the New Jersey and I believe the Connecticut monuments back over there. You can see right here is the New Jersey one, and back a little further is the Connecticut one. But as we keep driving, we're going to get very close to the New York one, which is right here. And as you can see on the right hand side here, this is still an active cemetery. So there are people who are still actively buried here. So I do apologize if it's a little shaky. So there's only one path you can follow when you're taking a driving tour. Right here is the flagpole that kind of marks the middle of the cemetery. There is a high number of ex-POWs here. Even if you disregard the fact that many of them were from the Civil War, there is a very, very high number of them. We just passed the sign for the Raiders' graves. They were 6 individuals who tried to seize control of the prison at one point. And I'll pull over and walk out here in a minute so you can see their graves. Off right here is the American Former Prisoners of War Stalag 17B, if I'm reading that correctly, monument. So, World War II prisoners. There's just a high number of prisoners of war resting here. Again, even if you disregard those who were here under Andersonville Prison. Now I forget the name of this structure. It's on the monuments. I have it elsewhere. I'll post it in a video link. But this is where they can have ceremonies when they need to do some special services, like for Memorial Day or Veterans Day here. And if you can see it, they actually have chairs set up to do that. We're actually going to drive close to where one of the 2 Medal of Honor recipients are resting here at Andersonville. The first one is Story, and he is resting right over there. In fact, his grave is right there. That more white one than all the other ones, kind of in the middle. He was killed during the Korean War, but received a Medal of Honor posthumously for his actions. Here we have Indiana State's monument. And behind it you can see the main monument. Now I won't be able to drive everywhere in the cemetery. I'm going to strictly stay on the roads. But you can see a lot of the cemetery here. It's humbling and moving to be here at a national cemetery of this magnitude. As you know, recently I was in the Netherlands for a repatriation mission and visited that national cemetery in the Netherlands, and it's a very indescribable feeling. So I'm gonna pull over here really quick and we're gonna go visit the Raiders' graves, or at least go see them. As you can see, they're actively digging here, so bear with me just 1 second. I have to unplug my phone and whatnot. So like I said, the Raiders were gentlemen who tried to seize control of the prison at one point. And they are actually buried here, but they're buried away from everyone else. And there are 6 of them. As you can see here, as we get closer, all 6 are resting right here, away from everyone else. Patrick Delaney, Charles Curtis, William Collins, Sarsfield, I want to say John, William Rickinson, and I believe I think it's Alfred, but I could be wrong, I think it's Munn. I'll put the names of the Raiders in the description so you can look at that more accurately. So let me get back in the car here. So we're going to continue the tour. There's only one way I can go here. But we're coming up on a section H, and from what I read at the entrance, that was a trench burial section. Now, I don't know if that meant that's where this is the trench they were buried in or whatnot. But something I want to point out here is there is a unsettling high preponderance of unknown soldiers. In fact, most of the graves in this section here are unknown. In the greater distance here, you can see the Minnesota monument for the state there. And over here is the Pennsylvania. Now, the Pennsylvania one is kind of interesting because it has placards inside of it. And as you saw behind it when I showed you the Iowa one, the main one is back there hiding. But as you can see here, this is section H, and they described it as a trough or trench burial. So I don't know if this is the trench or what. I'm going to be looking that up. In case you're wondering, yeah, it's fairly warm down here today. So this little marker right here, that is the Oddfellows marker to all the unknown soldiers. Now these ones are a little more recent, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam. But I'm going to slow down again because really quickly it changes to back to the Civil War veterans. Granted, this cemetery is filled with mostly Civil War veterans, which makes sense based on what happened nearby. I'll be going there shortly. But you can start seeing all these unknown soldiers, unknown. And the truth is they may never have a name attached to their headstones. The national park is actively trying to identify them, but there's no guarantee that they will be able to. All of these in the second row and a lot in the first row, you can see unknown. Just a sheer high preponderance of unknown soldier. All that second row right there, a lot of them are unknowns. There's unknowns in the front row too. It's a place that I could easily get lost in for hours upon hours, but I'm not going to be doing that today, unfortunately. I have very limited time in Georgia, and I want to pay my respects. So I am actually going to be heading to the museum/visitor center now. This is kind of going back to where we started from in the tour, with that statue by a sculptor who's local to, I believe, Augusta, Georgia, which is a couple hours away, due east, roughly. But you can see here, again, this was described as a trench, or just I'm hesitant to use the word, but I think it fits, mass graves. You see, 29% of all Union soldiers who were captured and sent to Andersonville never came out. Even scarier is the fact that 18% of the guards from the Confederate side also didn't come out. Those are absurdly high casualty rates for either population. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. I hope to see you next time, and happy wandering.